There was a time long ago, not too long ago actually, just a few years ago, um, when it seemed like society was so screwed up and dysfunctional that it was going to collapse, and that the smartest thing for me to do would be to have a plan for living off grid and getting out of society. And occasionally, you'll see things on the news that remind, or at least I'll see things in the news that remind me of why I felt and thought that. And obviously, I'm not planning on moving off grid right now, but um, when you get into um, I don't know, when I try to add stability into my life, um, I remember just how much it sucks being around. I mean, just living a precarious life when the people around you you can't trust, when you are not insulated or protected from the upheavals in society. And I always during that time when I wanted help from people, when I was looking for it, I would really kind of envy the people who were pretty oblivious to all the stuff that I was seeing and going through, and it just didn't seem fair, um, you know. And as I try to, as I said, add some stability into my life, I start recognizing why the people who I reached out to during that time had the outlook they had, and their outlook was essentially pretty dismissive of the crazy stuff happening in society. Not that they wouldn't acknowledge it as being real, but they would be like they would think to themselves, well, obviously you're supposed to stay away from that stuff. Obviously, um, yeah. What do you want me to say? Pretty much, it's like But if you're caught in a dysfunctional world and you don't have the easiest path out of it, that just seems like, what the fuck, How can I dismiss what I am involuntarily wrapped up with? Now that being said, um, it doesn't help a person, and it doesn't help the world to fixate on the things that are dysfunctional in society. You got to just build something that is functional, that is healthy, and hope that its influence bears some sway upon the world. Um, Now, there's not much that I can do because I'm not a very well resourced person, but part of the reason why I started making these videos and publishing them is because I would like to create a kind of um, self maintained cultural and intellectual space for building and describing the world that I would care to build and describe. Um, but I do understand that some degree of insulation is essential for that. And it gets you thinking about what it means to have a community, what it means to have a stable life, a stable, um, modus of being within, any organization, but within a state, within a city, within a polis, um, you know, within a neighborhood. Um, what does it take to have stability? And it does entail pushing out a lot of the toxic um, things. It just does, because if you aren't doing that, you will get toxicity and you will get chaos. Um, I think a problem with American life at present is that people don't know um, where to draw lines. Um, they're not sure um, what their community is, what the values are. And I'm not somebody who's super like it. I don't believe that community is always the most important thing ever. I am an individualist in many ways, but um, but we are a part of communities always, and the United States just needs to. be cleaned up, I think. The ideas that we familiarize ourselves with, the way we educate ourselves, formally and informally, these ways are in need of repair. Um, we especially have to not have a society where um, there's blatant mischief and thuggery happening, where people are safe to speak their mind and have civil discourse without threats, without threats of harm, without the genuine prospect of violence. Um, and we have to pursue that at all costs, or we don't have a state. Um, Now, that being said, how does this sentiment feed into politics as it as it is playing out today? Well, I don't have much authority over what goes on in politics today, and everything that I see is pretty precarious. There are some fundamental issues with the culture of governance in the United States. There are things that ideas we are attached to that maybe make it hard for us to do what we need to do. Um, that's among politicians and that's among citizens. Um, so I don't know. I can't speak too much on politics today. Uh, I don't want to foment behavior that is not ideal. Um, but we would probably be better served if our cultural foundation were such that people were more inclined to express themselves thoughtfully and carefully before they get to um, aggression. Um, I mean, every aspect of our political conversation would uh, would be solved. More so, not maybe not entirely, but it would be closer to a solution. But all that said, I as I've spent the last several years filling my brain with book stuff, the information of books. Um, there's plenty of people out there who are so aggressive that they would, happily. I mean, they just don't want to hear it, and they don't want people to spend their time uh, civilly. They don't want. I mean, they want to decide what you have to fixate on, what you have to think about. And these people, insofar as their ideas are not the best, um, keep culture from thriving. They distract culture from better horizons, and they're out there, and they cause chaos. They cause a ruckus, and they wanna, you know. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like there is some virtue in the bubble. You understand? The bubble is pretty necessary. Um, my ideas, insofar as they might translate into politics, I don't think are going to be, uh, they would have to emerge um, at a later time, a later date, because the political conversation right now is too poisonous.